early morning departure. Good morning, my dear friends. Welcome back to Daily English Voice. It's Bella here. Today's story begins in the quietest hour of the morning, when even the sky is still asleep, but my heart is already awake. The alarm rang at 4:30 a.m. My room was quiet and smelled of books and wood. I opened my eyes slowly and forgot what day it was. For just a second. Then I saw my packed luggage in the corner. And my heart whispered, "Today's the day." Outside, I heard small sounds. A dishes clinking, Dad starting the car, and Mom's gentle voice.
Bella, don't forget your jacket. It's cold outside.
The air felt crisp. My hands were shaking. Maybe from the cold. Maybe from what was coming next.
Bella, are you ready? We're leaving soon.
Almost just 5 minutes. But I was still sitting on my bed, staring at the wall. The clock ticked. 4:35 a.m. We were already 5 minutes late. I stood up fast, brushed my hair, and grabbed my backpack. When I looked into the mirror, I whispered, "Come on, Bella, you can do this."
Wait, Bella, your English notebook. You forgot it again.
Oh no, my notes.
You almost left your English at home.
Now it has to travel with you, just like your heart.
We all laughed. I slipped the notebook into my bag and zipped it tight. Maybe it wasn't just paper. Maybe it carried all my efforts inside. We stepped into the cold air. The street was still asleep, covered in a thin fog. When the gate closed behind us, I looked back. The yellow light from our porch glowed through the mist. Home didn't disappear, I thought. It just stayed behind, waiting for me to come back stronger. The car rolled forward. The sound of tires on the wet road mixed with the rhythm of my heartbeat. We arrived at the airport around 5:30 a.m. Bright lights, echoing voices, and the steady hum of people saying goodbye. At the check-in counter, I handed my passport, got my boarding pass, and watched my luggage roll away. Mom checked everything again. Emma smiled, but her eyes were teary.
You'll be fine, my girl. Just remember to eat, sleep, and smile.
Keep your courage. We'll be watching the sky for your plane.
I nodded and smiled through the tears. I'll send pictures from above the clouds. Then came the announcement. Final call for passengers on flight EK393 to Dubai. I took a deep breath, held my luggage, and walked toward the security check. Just before turning the corner, I looked back. Mom and Dad stood in the white light, waving. Emma raised her hand high, smiling through the glass. My throat tightened, my eyes blurred. Some goodbyes are quiet, I thought. But they echo forever. And with that, I turned forward. One step closer to the sky. At 6 a.m., the plane wasn't in the air yet. But my heart was already flying. Oh, the journey begins. The airport was already awake. Lights bright, voices echoing like waves. I held my passport tightly, afraid to drop even one paper. The board flashed. Flight EK393, Ho Chi Minh to Dubai. It felt real now. No turning back. Check-in and security.
How many bags are you checking in?
Just one, I said softly.
Window or aisle seat?
Window, please. I watched the tag wrap around my suitcase. Like a ribbon marking the start of a new story. At the security check, I placed my bag on the belt. Removed my watch and shoes, heart pounding as the machine beeped. I took a deep breath. I'm okay. Just first time flying this far. The guard smiled kindly and waved me through. For a moment, I felt brave, like an adult stepping into the world. Waiting area. Before the flight? The waiting area glowed in warm yellow light. Souvenir shops sold postcards, T-shirts, and little airplanes. I bought a small keychain that said Vietnam. At the food counter, I ordered a small breakfast. Bread, a cup of orange juice, and hot soup. I sat near the window, watching the runway outside, where planes lined up like silver birds. I opened my notebook and wrote, "Every plane here is a goodbye and a beginning. Boarding, stepping into the sky." My heart jumped. This was it. I picked up my passport, looked back one last time at the crowd. So many faces, all with their own stories. In the boarding line, I heard English, Vietnamese, and Arabic. Different voices, one destination. A flight attendant smiled as I stepped in.
Welcome aboard.
Her voice was calm, practiced. But to me, it sounded like the start of something huge. Take off, the first flight. I found my seat by the window. The seatbelt clicked tight, and I could feel my heartbeat louder than the engines. The plane began to move, slow at first, then faster, then suddenly weightless. I pressed my hand to the window. The city lights blurred beneath clouds, and morning light spread across the horizon. I whispered. This is really happening. In the sky. Below, the rivers curved like silver threads through green fields. Vietnam became a soft painting, fading behind clouds. My fear melted, replaced by something new, wonder. A flight attendant approached with a smile.
Chicken or fish?
Chicken, please. She placed the tray in front of me, rice, salad, bread, dessert. Everything small, tidy, and warm. I learned a new word, in-flight meal. I looked at the small map screen in front of me. A blue line crossing the ocean. Somewhere down there was everything I knew. And up here, everything waiting for me. I wrote in my notebook, I'm not on the ground anymore. I'm flying, really flying. As the sun rose higher, and the clouds outside looked like floating dreams. And I smiled quietly. Because I realized I wasn't just flying away. I was flying toward who I'm meant to be. Stopover in Dubai.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dubai International Airport.
After 8 hours in the air, the plane finally touched down. The light outside was golden, and the air felt different. Dry, warm, and sharp. I stepped out, blinking. It wasn't Vietnam anymore. Landing and transit. I followed the signs that said transit connection flights. The crowd moved like a slow river, faces from everywhere. Arab men in white robes, women in colorful scarves. Tourists holding coffee cups and neck pillows. I felt small, but also alive. My first time standing in another country, even if only for a few hours. Inside the airport was like a golden palace. Tall glass pillars, marble floors, and light that shimmered like water. My suitcase wheels echoed across the hall. A tiny sound in the sea of travelers. Perfume shops sparkled with light. Chocolate displays looked like treasure chests. Everywhere, souvenirs that whispered Dubai. Then the smell hit me, strong, rich, mysterious. Arabic coffee.
Would you like to try our Arabic coffee, miss?
Yes, please. Just a small one. I took a sip, bitter, earthy, with a hint of spice. Then I tried a small date fruit, soft, golden, sweet like honey. I smiled and wrote in my notebook. Even airports can have their own flavor. Finding rest. I found a quiet corner near a big window. Outside, Planes lined up like silver birds under the desert sun. The light poured through the glass, turning everything warm and calm. I took out my phone and called home. Mom, I'm in Dubai. It's so bright and big.
We see your smile, Bella. You're doing great.
The video flickered a bit, but her voice was clear, soft and close. We talked for less than a minute, but it felt like home reached me through the screen. I leaned back, closed my eyes, listening to the distant voice from the speakers. Now boarding for flight EK009 to London. For a moment, I wasn't tired anymore, just thankful. Before the next flight, I checked my watch, only 30 minutes before boarding. Time passed so fast here, like sand slipping through my fingers. I fixed my hair, checked my passport again, and looked up one last time at the giant glass dome. The sunlight streamed down, golden and endless. I whispered to myself, so many places, so many faces. The world feels bigger, and I feel smaller, but free. I smiled, picked up my bag, and followed the signs to Gate A9, London. The journey wasn't over. It was just beginning again. The long night to London. Now boarding for flight EK009 to London. The announcement echoed through the golden halls of Dubai Airport. My hands tightened around my passport. Another flight, another sky. I took a deep breath and joined the line. Boarding for the second flight.
Good evening. Welcome on board.
The flight attendant smiled with calm confidence. The cabin was larger, quieter, and softly lit in shades of blue and gold. I found my seat, 42A by the window again. Lucky. Outside, the sun was fading behind glass towers. I placed my bag in the overhead bin, sat down, and looked around. New faces, new languages. This was the bridge between two worlds. Settling in the cabin.
Please fasten your seatbelt and prepare for takeoff.
I followed the instructions carefully, feeling like every small action mattered. Buckle, adjust, breathe. The engines hummed to life. The plane glided down the runway, and in one smooth motion, lifted into the deep blue evening. Out the window, the desert lights of Dubai flickered, and then disappeared into the dark sea of night. I whispered, "Goodbye, Asia." The in-flight experience.
Would you like chicken pasta or beef with rice?
Chicken pasta, please. She smiled and handed me the tray, small, neat and warm. Inside, soft bread, salad, juice, and a little cake that looked too pretty to eat. I learned new words printed on the wrappers. Salt, pepper, napkin, dessert, cutlery. Every detail felt like a quiet English lesson in the clouds. When my throat felt dry, I pressed the small button above. Excuse me, may I have some water, please?
Still or sparkling?
Still, please. The water came cold and clear. So simple, yet it felt like victory. Learning from the journey. I looked at the small flight map on the screen. A glowing line crossing the Middle East. Over the Mediterranean, through Europe, toward a tiny red dot, London. Altitude, 37,000 feet. Outside, only darkness and stars. I changed my watch to London time. 7 hours behind Vietnam. A small twist of the wrist, and it felt like my whole life shifted too. I whispered to myself, this isn't just travel. This is transformation, the rest and reflection. The lights dimmed. The cabin turned blue and peaceful, like a sky inside a sky. Some passengers slept, others read quietly. I leaned back, wrapped the blanket around me, and looked through the small window. Clouds drifted like slow-moving dreams. Far below, the world slept. I thought of home, of my family waving at the airport, of Mom's words, eat, sleep, and smile. My eyelids grew heavy. The hum of the engines became a lullaby. Before falling asleep, I whispered, maybe this is what growing up feels like. I'm quiet, a little lonely, but free. And there, somewhere between Dubai and London, I drifted into the softest sleep I'd ever had. In a classroom made of clouds. Arrival in London.
Cabin crew, please prepare for landing.
The captain's voice echoed gently. I opened the window shade. The clouds were thin, silver and soft. Below them, tiny lights sparkled like a map of dreams. Then, thump. The plane touched the runway. The cabin shook slightly, and everyone clapped softly. I smiled, whispering to myself, I made it. I really made it. At the airport, and we walked through a long hallway, white and bright. The air felt cold and sharp, like a new beginning. Signs read, arrivals, immigration, baggage claim. I held my passport tightly again. At the immigration counter, a man in uniform smiled politely.
What's the purpose of your visit?
I'm here to work and study.
Welcome to the United Kingdom.
A small stamp hit my passport. Entry, UK. That sound felt like a door opening. Collecting luggage. The luggage belt spun slowly. My brown suitcase appeared, the same one that left home with me. I pulled it down carefully, the weight familiar yet different. I checked everything, passport, wallet, phone, all safe. Then I bought a small bottle of water from a vending machine. The first sip was cold, clear, and perfect. It tasted like arrival. Stepping outside, the airport doors slid open, and the London air wrapped around me. A cold, crisp, smelling of rain and city life. I looked up. The sky was gray. A raindrop sliding across my suitcase. A line of black taxis waited in the drizzle. I took a deep breath, then stepped forward.
Need a lift, miss?
Yes, please. Can you take me to this address?
Sure, hop in.
The seat was warm, the window fogged with tiny raindrops. The car moved through quiet streets. Brick houses, yellow lamps, and reflections on wet pavement. I leaned my head against the glass. The city whispered hello. The first ride in a new country. London looked like an old movie. Red buses, old bridges, people in long coats. Everything felt foreign, but not frightening, just vast. I opened my notebook and wrote, "The sky is gray, but my heart feels bright." I smiled quietly, watching my new world pass by, and knowing this wasn't the end of my journey. It was just the first page. First morning in London City, and the taxi slowed down in front of a small street lined with brick houses. Soft rain still kissed the pavement. The driver smiled in the mirror.
Here we are, miss.
Thank you. I stepped out, pulling my suitcase through the rain. The air was cold, fresh, and smelled like history. Every sound, a door closing, a car passing, felt new. A woman opened the door of a small white house.
Hello, you must be Bella. Welcome to your new home.
Yes, thank you so much. The room was simple. A single bed, a desk, and a small window with curtains the color of cream. I placed my suitcase down. It felt strange and peaceful at the same time. Settling in, I hung my coat on the door. The silence was thick, almost too still. Then I unpacked slowly. Clothes in the closet, a photo of my family on the desk, and my mother's handmade scarf on the chair. I made a cup of hot water from the kettle. Steam rose, fogging the little window. Outside, raindrops and the sound of distant bells. I looked around the room and whispered, "This is it, my new chapter. A call home." I opened my phone and called home. The screen lit up, and suddenly, the world didn't feel so big anymore.
Bella, you arrived safely.
Yes, Mom. London is cold and beautiful.
You look tired but happy. Get some rest, okay?
I will. Tell Dad and Emma I miss them already.
We miss you too, baby. Sleep well tonight.
Good night, Mom. The room was quiet again, but no longer lonely. I took a deep breath. Home wasn't gone. It had just changed shape. The first sleep in a new country. I changed into warm pajamas, pulled the blanket close, then turned off the light. The city hummed softly outside, a lullaby of rain and dreams. I wrote one last line in my notebook. I've arrived. The journey has really begun. Then I smiled in the dark. And knowing tomorrow would be the first morning of the rest of my life